And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is Friday, the 9th, January, 2026. Got to get used to that. 2026. Time is moving. And as always, we have a lot to cover, ladies and gentlemen. Today will be about a lot. You know our little line, Jell-O moving on the plate. Jell-O moving on the plate because of dictate and policy mentions out of a certain person living in the White House. We'll get to that in a little bit. In case you don't know, this is serious talk on everything that affects you. We'll do the markets, the economy, your job, your industry, the job market, and anything else that comes to mind. And if you do not get this radio show in your city, we will post it at GaryK.com, also on our X feed. And if you don't follow us on X, you should. If you'd like to email us, just be nice. By the way, other podcast apps will get it. Also, BizTV YouTube channel. I'm in New York City right now on the iPhone app doing the radio show. Hopefully it comes in well. And you're welcome. We gave you out Miami and the over last night. Miami was -3. The over was 52 to 53. Miami won by 4, and the over was, what'd they score, 58? You're welcome. So we're at it again. As you know, and we don't pull any punches, we're very good at handicapping football. But we only do it when we get into the playoffs or any important games, and we're very selective. We don't pick every game. And by the way, last night was quite lucky. They scored 25 points in the fourth quarter, but it all counts. And Miami had a score late in the game to go ahead, but it all counts. We don't rationalize. So before we even get going, there are 5 games this weekend in the NFL. I have to tell you, there's only one we really like. We're very selective, ladies and gentlemen. We're very, very selective. So for starters, we think Chicago's a better team than Green Bay. That's all. We're not sure why the line's only, we're not sure why Chicago's getting 1.5 points. It's almost like they're begging you to take Chicago, which means normally Green Bay is going to cover. But I have to tell you, I'm going with the Bears. That's all I can say. I'm going with the Bears. They play very sound football. So that's our number 1 pick this weekend. Rams are at Carolina. I don't have a great feel for that. The Rams are a better team. I don't like giving 10 points in any game, especially away. Buffalo's at Jacksonville. Buffalo's -1.5. If I was going to bet, I'd go Jacksonville, but I'm not going to do it. They just look like a better team. San Fran, Philly, I don't have a feel. I will tell you that Chargers New England game, yeah, we're going to pass that one also. And Monday night, we'll be back on Monday. So the only thing is Chicago. That's the only thing we think for this weekend. But there's also NCAA football. And there is a game tonight, Oregon at Indiana. We like the over. Those are our 2 bets. I believe the over is around 48.5, 49. We like the over in that one. That's where we stand. So just 2 games. We're 2-0 now going into the rest of the weekend. 2 more. Oregon, Indiana over. Chicago Bears. We're leaving the rest alone. We're very picky. And that is it. By the way, I was on a flight last night watching the game. What a great game. Wow. I felt very bad for the losing team because they played their guts out. And in case you don't know, they lost their coach. Lane Kiffin went to another team, LSU, I believe. And I hate when that happens. But good for Miami. And here's the interesting thing. Miami plays at home in the final game next Monday. I may go. It's Monday night. It's a day off for us. It's a holiday, so I may be at the game. Okay, so we got rid of that. Next, I got to talk the jobs number. Another terrible jobs number. 50,000, bleh. And revisions were down, bleh. And I'm asking myself the question, how do we have 5% GDP and terrible jobs market? I have to answer, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Normally, I would tell you those jobs numbers are recessionary and the GDP, hell's going to break loose, but that's not happening. So I don't know what's at work. Some people tell me artificial intelligence. I don't know. I think there may be this one component of the business culture really looking at employee numbers and just staying light. I think that's a component, but I have to tell you, we're supposedly getting a 5% GDP for last quarter. To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Welcome to the world. Hopefully you have listened to us. I think we gave you great words to the wise, and that is if you work for somebody, make yourself indispensable. Make yourself the go-to person. Work harder, work smarter. Market yourself as best as you can without kissing the royal butt of your bosses. And hopefully you're going to be around for a while. That's jobs. Next. We have been telling you to avoid housing and housing-related stocks for a long time. No more. That playing field changed today with the action in the housing and housing-related. It's kind of started up a little bit yesterday, but today, unfortunately, it is not something that's organic. The president has announced Powellitis. You know what Powellitis is, right? The president is going to have his minions take $200 billion from wherever and buy up mortgage bonds to try and loosen up the housing market. We don't know if it's going to be successful, except it loosened up the housing stocks and housing related. For example, Home Depot and Sherwin-Williams are in the Dow. They were up $27 today between the two. 170 Dow points. They have both been dead money. Big time dead money. Big time bearish. In fact, Home Depot, even with the close today, is pretty much trading where it was 4.5 years ago. Sherwin-Williams, trading December of 21. But big move today, and that helped the Dow. And then you have the home builders. Toll Brothers, 7%. Lennar, 9%. How about, let's throw in Green Brick, 7%. How about KB Homes? 7%. How about the ETF, the ITB? 6%. How about the XHB? 5%. How about other housing related stuff like Builders First Source? 12%. Thank you, Mr. President. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Now, we did not say housing is in a bull market. Oh, by the way, there's another one called Top Build. I believe, a symbol BLD, they provide insulation to construction industry. That was up 6% today. And by the way, that's breaking out of range. That's actually a strong stock with crappy numbers. So there's the housing. And as you know, it pisses us off that they're now going to interfere with markets again. Next, defense stocks, which got going yesterday. Why? The president just announces he'd like the next budget on defense to be 1.5 trillion. This year's was 1 trillion. That's a huge 50% gain. So all the defense stocks and fuego to the upside. Even though that's probably not going to happen. But perception in the market is reality sometimes. So defense stocks got the government juice. What pisses us off about that? Me being one of the loudest voices on defending the country. This is bullcrap. It's bullcrap. That amount. 1 trillion is bullcrap. It's insane. The year 2000, I think we were covered pretty good on defense. We spent 300 billion. We've tripled it. And these are yearly numbers. The president's asking for 1.5 trillion, I guess, and guess what? That's almost the whole budget of the year 2000. Guess what? The Pentagon can't pass an audit. They're missing bazillions of dollars. But I don't run the show. Here's your story. Two major moves in two areas. So just letting you know. Defense was comatose. Housing was in a bear market. We are not saying housing has gone from a bear market to a bull market. We're saying it's out of the bear market. And we'll stay on top of it. See what's going on. But dang. Next, news. I've never heard of this person, but California Congressman, a Republican, Doug LaMalfa, my age, dies at the age of 65. I'm looking to see what he died of, but some surgery, I guess, or something. Yeah. What does that mean? Let's see. Hold on. He was out west. He's in one of the only areas in California that's on the red side, as you know. Wow. My age. Boy, I'm going to take care of myself. What does that do? It tightens up the House. Tightens up the House even more. You really don't have a lot of room on the Republican side in the House now because what's her name is gone also. So that's a little bit on the newsy side. Leaves 218 Republicans, 213 Democrats. Which means 2 Republican defections in any votes. in any votes. So that's the story there. And there's some votes coming on, I do believe. Next. I did mention, okay, Bitcoin still can't get out of its own way. Ethereum can't. And again, I must say it, you're welcome on MicroStrategy, now called Strategy. What's interesting to me, and I want you to listen carefully, as I have told you, many call it a scheme. We've tried to stay away from that word. We just describe for you that all it is a company that just keeps buying Bitcoin through leverage. And we've seen this act before, and it always ends bad if the price of that asset keeps going lower. Well, as we have stated, MicroStrategy has gone from 457 to 157 since July. That's got to be in the 60s, right? While Bitcoin has gone from 72 to 51. In other words, the leverage. I'm worried that this thing may blow up. And you know we're very careful with our words. I have been reading about, and you can too, about what the CEO has done with the company and the leverage and what they owe and debt and what they owe. I do not think this is going to be a going concern if Bitcoin dives even more. And remember, the last bear market had Bitcoin dropping 75%. And we're not saying that's going to happen. We're just letting you know. If you have been a listener of this show, you're not in MicroStrategy, now called Strategy, and we don't think there's any strategy here. We have been completely on the avoid, bearish, whatever, and have gotten more bearish as it goes. And as far as the crypto, we have told you they try to come out with 32,000 coins. We've told you also that some of the coins that are still around just dropped like 70, 80%. Just be careful with your money. You need to know. And the administration getting involved hasn't helped. And I'm not going to make a statement on that, but you have a feeling of what I think about all that crap and the conflicts of interest. As we pull no punches on anybody, be careful. If the Bitcoin drops below the lows of the last 7-8 weeks, I think all hell's going to break loose. Up next, today's market. Lots of jello on the plate. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. And I mean lots of jello on the plate. So our poster child for the no sale stuff has been this OKLO. And they just signed some deal, and I don't know what's going to be the outcome. And I want to let you know they gapped it up today to $115, closed at $105, so it was sold into, and has a $16.5 billion market cap here. It has rallied up in the last 6 days from 72 to 105, 33 on 72, that's almost 50%. Still down $88 from the highs, which is about 45%. Just letting you know, we report the up and the down. And as we always say, if they continue to have no sales, all hell's going to break loose. When we get a bear market, they'll all drop 90%. By the way, it dropped about 65% to the recent trough. So just be careful. Good to see some news about something that they may do with somebody. And again, as we have said to you, we're not trying to piss all over these companies that have no sales. We hope they all are successful. We just know we had mentioned to you Lightbridge, LTBR. This is a nuclear company. The way is down about 50% from the highs of October still, but I must tell you is up 30% from 6 days ago. They've bounced. But what's my problem? The stock's been public for 25 years. They've been in the public domain. You can trade the stock for 25 years and they still have no freaking sales. There's my problem. And of course, you know what happens to it in bear markets. Well, in 2006, it hit a high of 1,500. It just hit a low of 2. So be careful with your money. And I just wanted to mention that OKLO because that's been our poster child. And there are others. And just so you know also, they've been bidding up a little bit some of the no sales stuff also recently. Next, let's start with the negative and finish with the positive. Adobe, big software name, still in the bear market. The software stocks, the IGV, still trading below the 50-day moving average. AMD, a very weak semiconductor and had a very bad week. Apple, speaking of a very bad week, a very bad week for Apple as it tanked this week. Nvidia, not a good week. Finished the week below the 50-day moving average. Salesforce.com, gotta say it's been trying and it's off the lows, but it's still been in a brutal bear market trading where it traded in August of 20. And trading right now at 260, the high was 369. Dell was 168 about 8 weeks ago, closed at 120 today. Microsoft just hanging on to the 200-day moving average and really needs to hold the 470 area, closed at 479. Meta, been in the bear market since August. Off the lows as of recent, but still can't get any big movement whatsoever. Netflix, brutal bear market. Oracle, at least trying finally after dropping from 345 to 177. Trading below everything, but better. Not saying much. Tesla, at least back hitting the 50-day moving average today, just dropped from 500 to 430. Broadcom had a good day today, was up $12. 345 at the close, down from 414 3 weeks ago, and bad reaction to earnings. You know what all these have in common? They're very big. They're very big. You have a little improvement in Meta, a little improvement with Oracle, a little improvement in Tesla today, but overall on the weak side compared to other things, which we'll get into in a minute. Just want you to keep that in mind. And I think that's what's been holding back the NASDAQ and NASDAQ 100 from breaking out of range. Because the semiconductor stocks, wow. I'm upset today personally. Why? Because on this latest move on the semiconductors, they gapped them down yesterday after breaking them out of range. And I'm thinking, okay, good. What they're going to do, they're going to pull them into moving averages and support, and we're going to buy the living crap out of them because we think there's more to go. they gapped them up today. And not only did they gap them up, they had monster moves. KLAC was down $40 yesterday, was up 75 today. ASML was down big yesterday, was up $80 today, 6%. KLAC about 5%. Applied Materials yesterday got smoked to the tune of $13, up $19 today, 7%. Lam Research up $17 today, into new highs. I can't tell you how upset I am because I'm not in them. And they're going to go higher. But we have a disciplined way of doing things, and they ain't let me in today. And then you got the SanDisk, which again, we're not making this up. Yesterday, it goes from 361 to 310 in the same day. It's back to 377 today. That's the number one stock now. They beat the crap out of the disk drive storage Seagate. Drops from 330 to 290 in 2 days. Excuse me, 330 to 280. $50. Up 20 today. Western Digital did the same. 240 to 180. Excuse me, 220 to 180. Up 13 today. So I think that's still going on. The semis, the storage, and the like. And they didn't give me a chance today as they gapped them up. And what is a gap? Close one price yesterday, open at another price today, much higher. Of course, we can walk in Monday and they gap them down. Welcome to my world. Anyway, just want to let you know. The Dow was up 238 today, as we mentioned. 170 were two stocks that have been dead. Home Depot and Sherwin-Williams because of government. I don't think it's going to change the housing market. I don't think another person is going to buy a house because they're going to spend $200 billion. But markets love that easy money crap. And it got targeted and it moved. So out of the bear market is the housing and housing related, not necessarily a bull market. Going to need some more cards come out of the deck. But boy, that was a strong day for the housing stocks today. NASDAQ up 191 on the better action on some of those big names, but the SOX was up 202 points today. We're talking almost 3%. That's the story. NASDAQ 100, 259. Better action in the mid caps, and as we told you, mid caps broke out, and the small caps broke out also. So a little broad-based move. We'll take it. Up next, what else we got for you? This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So you never know what kind of reaction. I never know what kind of reaction I'm going to get when I say certain things. When my parents passed away, and I said to you, I'm heartbroken but relieved at the same time. I was wondering whether people thought I was this ass for saying relieved at the same time. And everybody emailed me and called me and said, yeah, went through the same thing. Because my parents were in the 90s, and at the end it gets very, very tough. So I did not know what to expect. And yesterday, this tragedy in Minneapolis, where I didn't even go into the video because the sides are taking sides. The right is saying that she hit him and he had the right of self-defense. The left is saying it's murder. And there's some schmucks in politics calling it murder. They are morons for saying that. But I took a different way of looking at it, and I said to you that I got stopped by a police officer, thought I was speeding. This is a couple months back, and I told you the two things I do is I open my window and I put my hands on the steering wheel so the police officer knows he's safe. And by the way, I recommend you do that also if you ever stopped. And I went on to say that tragedy doesn't happen if this woman did not respect, if she would have just respected authority. The fact of the matter is she was not supposed to be where she was. She flaunted it. We find out she does it kind of for a living. And then tragedy happened. And I didn't assign blame either way yesterday, except to say, what the hell are you putting yourself in the position for that potentially to happen? Our thought process is, I don't care if you like the police or not, or ICE or not. They are officials in their authority. Just respect it. I also went on to say, what do you think this man wanted this to happen? Of course not. He now has to live the rest of his life knowing he shot a woman and she's dead. She put herself in the position of harm's way. And I didn't know what the reaction would be. I did not have one person disagree with me, which is quite amazing because the polarization out there. But we do think we're quite logical here, and we want to be very careful about taking a side on something like this. New video has come out that kind of refutes the first video. That kind of refutes the second video. And when I mean refute, it like changes the thought process, maybe. So, Gary's word to the wise. Respect the authority figures. That's all. Don't be stupid. You know, I've always wondered, you know when people block traffic sitting in front of cars? They still do that. Are these people insane? All it takes is one driver to say, F it, and you're dead. I don't understand people. You don't respect a car. How much does a car weigh? You're dead if you run over. Anyway, you get my point. I just believe in logic, and I'm in hopes this never happens again. If you hate ICE, I'd say there's better ways of doing it than blocking them and all that crap. And I hear 2 more were shot by Border Patrol in Portland, but it looks like that was open and shut, as they say. 2 bad people. And as far as this woman, I'm just going to hold out for right now. And we hope it does not happen again. Anyway, you all agree. And why does this matter? Because I got to tell you, we're such a polarized country right now, and I just think we'd be so much better without the polarization. And I think, especially the extremes, I think most of us are in the middle areas, left and right. Unfortunately, the extremes are the loudest voices that move the needle a lot. And unfortunately, also, I think you got some toxicity emanating out of D.C. on both sides. Unfortunately, starting with the head honcho, top dog, Big Cheese. Anyway, That's the thought process on that. Going into next week as we segue, those frickin' semiconductors, I wonder if they go climactic, kids. They have that look, which means they could have a bunch more. I was really hoping walking in today that yesterday's smacking of them was going to give an opportunity. Didn't. And I really didn't see any news today that would account for the big move today. But man, oh man, and fuego for the equipment makers and some of those storage guys after them melting down for a couple of days. Welcome to my world. Gold and silver still in shape, but I have a sneaking suspicion they may have some time and price sitting around for a while, and that would be okay. And we'll keep in touch with this housing-related stuff. Very under-owned and under-invested. That all said, you have a great rest of your weekend. Drive carefully when you get home. Do like we do, quite simple. Make sure you hug your family and your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll be back on Monday. Peace out. Bye-bye.